All right, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, welcome to the IMDA webinar, Metaverse in Retail, Future of Customer Engagement. My name is Ching Hong, and I will be your MC for today, as well as the facilitator. Please be informed that this webinar will be recorded and that your microphones will be automatically set on mute throughout the session. We most definitely welcome lots and lots of constructive questions, especially during the Q&A segment. So you may submit them through the Q&A platform. Just to let everyone know and be updated, you can actually submit the Q&A anytime in the Q&A panel below. Now, for general chat functions or to raise any technical issues, however, please reach out to our team through the Zoom chat function. So for questions, please direct them to the Q&A function, and for any technical issues or to raise any issues in general, please reach out to our team via the Zoom chat function. Very good afternoon. Yes, Simone from Robertson Quay. Wow, what a wonderful place to be at this afternoon. Perhaps having a few drinks and watching this webinar live right here from Robertson Quay. Anyone else want to state your location as well? I'm in the East, by the way. So in any case, in this very, very fruitful webinar, we hope, right, it will be exploring ways to boost consumer engagement with ARVR solutions. If you are very, very foreign to ARVR, this is actually a great place to start, because I'm given to understand that some of our presenters today will start from ground zero to let everyone know what's the basis of AR/VR solutions and how it can help in the metaverse in retail as we progressively move towards Web 3.0 and a more immersive customer engagement experience. So once again, we are very, very happy to host this right here from IMDA, and we are really, really interested to speak to more corporates as well as, budding enterprises who are keen to adopt AR/VR solutions, as well as keen to adopt digitally innovative solutions for your business as well. So the IMDA Pixel will also be sharing more about our facilities to help you jumpstart your digital journey as well. Now, first up, of course, to give everyone an overview of what we have today, we actually have the 3 different topics from 3 very, very different qualified speakers right here. So including the Metaverse retail experience. This is brought to us by Vostok VR, featuring projects with AirAsia and Yes Mall. And next up, we also have enhancing e-commerce experiences, featuring tools for immersive and interactive product design shopping, brought to you by Unity. If you're unsure of what Unity actually is, their game engine actually powers Pokemon Go, if I'm not mistaken. Ife, feel free to correct me later as well. And last but not least, we also have Bandwagon, bringing retail innovation in the metaverse. I'm given to understand that they actually help people set up shop fronts in the metaverse, and they have a project actually ongoing with CapitaLand named Capitaverse. So we're going to hear more from them later. And of course, once again, we welcome you to ask lots and lots of questions in the Q&A function for general chat purposes, such as greeting us, as well as, having a friendly discussion. Feel free to utilize the chat function. And with that, let's begin today's really, really great session on Metaverse in Retail, Future of Customer Engagement. Thank you once again for joining us. So our first speaker for today is the founder of Vostok VR. His name is Vitaly, and Vitaly is an award-winning technopreneur and founder of Vostok VR and AR. He has over 15 years of experience in media production and immersive technologies, in AR, VR, Metaverse, and he has been living in Singapore. I saw through one of the interviews that he fell in love with Singapore, apparently. Let's hear more from him later. And he apparently started a company inspired from Russian space program. I was like, wow, that's a lot to take in. And without further ado, he's going to share with us the Metaverse retail experience. Let's welcome Vitaly from Vostok VR. Vitaly, please. Hi.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Very good. Very good.
Thank you for this warm introduction. And yeah, falling in love in Singapore was pretty easy, because when I moved here, I was looking for the country where good economy and very competitive market, very challenging mindset, as well as this summer all year round. And I think many people don't like the summer, the weather in Singapore, but I just love it, because again, now in Russia, my friends send me it's like 10-12 degrees, and here we have like sunny, another sunny day in Singapore. That's why that was easy to fall in love in Singapore.
You definitely found the right place. Yes, definitely.
Okay, let me do my presentation. And I'll probably focus on one case because we have 20 minutes, and this would be Yas Mall, and this is one of the largest mall in Middle East. But before, without further ado, let me do the quick introduction. So, can you see my screen?
Yes, it's very clear to us.
Yeah, so Vostok is our company for Singapore, and in Saudi, we are working on a joint venture now called Saudi Meta. So yeah, more exciting project coming in that part of the world. If you heard about NEOM, Vision 2030 and all that stuff, you probably know that this is quite big. And honestly, I was always wanted to spend my time between South Asia and Middle East. So hopefully it will happen very soon. I mean, opening this legal entity. So we have 7 years experience in immersive media. I personally started as a 360 video production when I think there was only 2 companies in Singapore who was doing 360 video. Then we got invested by MediaCorp as a part of Mediapreneur. And so far we have more than 100 projects in ASEAN, mostly in Singapore, but it was a regional project including Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, as well as Gulf region, mostly Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Saudi Arabia. So this is short list of projects, awards, media mentions. And again, I mean, lots of stuff was done. And I think starting like last year, many people start asking, do you do Metaverse? Do you do Metaverse? And I've seen many companies pop out doing some Metaverse. I was like, I mean, how Metaverse different from VR, AR? And again, I found out some key components, key differences. And every time people ask me like, what's Metaverse? I always kind of love structure. So this is how I explain to them. This is basically triangle, 3 main components in Metaverse we have. It's experience, it's a location, and this is the underlying economy. What is the payment? How do you do the payment, and how do you do the ownership? Basically, this is incentive for people to buy, sell, and participate in different activities in this economy. And this applies for every project, whether you do a Metaverse farm, and I was doing a presentation for Singapore government yesterday regarding the Metaverse farm, whether you do a Metaverse free zone, and we're working on a project in Dubai on doing a Metaverse free zone in one of the Metaverses, or whether you're doing live concert. Our first journey started here. I will just put it into perspective, like Billie Eilish last year, not last month, done the concert in Singapore, and she got like 30,000 visitors, which was the biggest, probably the concert since the Singapore was open up. And the guy on the right, you probably, I mean, unless you're from Middle East, you probably don't know his name. His name is Mohammed Habaki, and he is the biggest star in Egypt. And this was our first project, and we managed to get 9.5 million visitors or viewers, and due to using Metaverse. So you see, that was our first project, and I think I was sold back then that we can do way better. Definitely, I mean, we work with Sony Music and like some other big partners, but this was very interesting experience, and we done the live concert in a fortnight, and this is how it looks. Again, it's very different from live concert of Billie Eilish, but again, it's more fun. You don't need to leave your house. You can have fireworks. You can buy some wearables. And again, it was free of charge. So talking about retail, one of my takes was, I don't think it's more about like building virtual stores in Metaverse, because again, I've worked in VR for like 7-8 years. And again, I've seen different experiences. We've done different proof of concept pilots and so on. I was thinking that maybe the concert, live concert, or like some big events connected to the retail will have a much better penetration. And again, this concert, Sony never mentioned how much.
Hi, Vitaly. I think there's a slight issue with your microphone, if I'm not mistaken. Hi, can everyone hear? Could you just perhaps type in the chat function as well? Okay, cool. Yes, thank you just for verifying. So Vitaly, your mic could have potentially disconnected, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, cool. Yeah, cool. So it's not just me. Right. So no worries, guys. We'll be back very, very shortly with Vitaly's presentation. Vitaly, I believe the mic might have disconnected, or you could just switch over to your webcam microphone, or, log in one way or another. No worries about that. Yes. Hi, yes. Vitaly. Yes, I think you are connected back. Could you just say a few words?
Yes. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yes,
Was,
you're back,
it was
definitely.
quite
I
strange
think
because I have like 50 different calls, and that's the first time I disconnected. So,
no worries.
so that was the first Engulf Metaverse concert, 18.5 minutes. Again, it was tiny portion. And we got 9.5 million viewers. And Sony never mentioned to me, but I'm sure, I mean, they made a lot of money through virtual merchandise, selling the outfits, different moves, and so on. So again, that was our first entry into Metaverse, and I was sold that this is going to be big. And let me share one of the projects which I think we done a pilot for Yasmol, and I think it can be done at the next level. And this is what our plan for 2023. So again, why retail? And I think it's not a big surprise that this is for Singapore, that retail sectors declined 40%, traffic declined, airport traffic declined 80%, many mass events canceled. And we saw our mission as a change in the way people shop, travel, and entertain. And we look at one of the ways of Metaverse, because I told you that there are different ways using virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, like web Metaverse, and so on. And we thought that we can build the solution which provide the visual navigation on your mobile phone. And again, it's not a big kind of surprise. I know for sure that few big companies here in Singapore looking for the similar solution. So again, we have test pilots. And the second part, we need to enable COVID-affected businesses. That's why we focused on shopping malls for many different reasons, and I explained later. And we also looking, back then it was not called NFT, we call it digital collectibles, because we didn't want to connect it to the blockchain. It was more like internal store for the digital assets. So the idea is that we proposed this concept, which was connecting, like has 3 special themes, and these themes will be spaced in a shopping mall. So when you enter, you get to the story, and basically this is a historical moment. You see some maybe historical camp and augmented reality. You're using the phone. I will have a like demonstration later on. So you will have some historical camps, you will have some camels, and you see the backstory of how United Arab Emirates evolved over the years. Then as soon as you reach the next area, you will get the current present state. So you'll see how the Burj Khalifa is built, you will see how Burj Al Arab built, and so on. And next step is the future. And as you know, UAE, they launched their space mission recently. And again, that's what we also featured. So the user experience or user interface was you're using your mobile phone or tablet, and basically you navigate through the store, which show you from one direction. In our case, it was mostly quest based. So you'll have like 3 different sections and 5 stores in each location. So you'll navigate it from one store to another. And along the way, you'll see first advertisement. And again, this is quite handy because nearby real estate companies, near, let's say, car manufacturers or car resellers, they can place their advertisement in this so-called shopping mall metaverse. We don't need to call it metaverse, but again, this is the snippet of how metaverse will look eventually. And we also project the holograms, which I mentioned from the past, from the car present, and from the future. Then as soon as you reach the store, you have in-store game activation. So you can play a mini game, or sometimes not just mini, it can have like 1-2 minutes, and you'll get the results. And as soon as you finish all the games, you get the special avatars, which will be your NFT reward. And then by the end of the experience, you can have the leaderboard between different participants, and you can actually buy and place specific NFTs or specific 3D models, 3D assets in the specific areas of the mall. So everyone in this mall could see that this is your particular asset, whether it's dragon, whether it's camel, whether it's Mars drone or drone, which was launched to the Mars by United Arab Emirates. So I would say the key takeaways here was that although the project was relatively successful, I think we got like 1,000 users within a week. And you need to download the application, you need to connect to the Wi-Fi and so on. And this is the reason why we do it in the mall, in more controlled environments. So it's not just outdoor, because if you probably work with ARVR, you understand that the sunlight will prevent you from your device from tracking. So although the project was successful, we saw a bigger potential. We saw the creation of more product, and I will give you a few snippets of what we plan to achieve within the next few years. The second, we noticed that having the glasses, that would be a game changer, because on your phone, it's still not natural way to explore the space, because again, you always need to stare at the phone in order to see the content. So again, having the glasses, whether it's Magic Leap or whether it's something more affordable or something what Apple is going to launch, would be much better in this regard. So this is our hopes for 2023. And 5G, we all need 5G. And although in Abu Dhabi that was the case, I do understand in order to scale it up, I mean, in most of the places that won't be the case. Let's say if you look at South Asia, in Singapore, yeah, there are some hotspots of 5G connection, islands of 5G connection. But if you look outside of Singapore, let's say Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam, it's like 500 million people, and you can't provide this experience. So that's what I mean. It's not wide adoption yet, but this is probably one of the few ways I see how Metaverse can evolve for retail. And let me show you, again, the key takeaways, what we plan to achieve. We plan to actually to work with not just Yasmol, we have one of the potential investor, and we plan to sell this Metaverse as a subscription base. So it's not just one-off project like most of the companies do, but it's a built product which you can scale and sell to other companies. And we're actually working on a pilot now. So what we will have a NFT or digital marketplace where you can buy these assets, or you can basically check the rarity of the asset you collected. So we also see the introduction of NFT brand loyalty points when you visit a specific store or you play a specific game for a specific amount of time. Well, this is, let's say, time-based activation, and you can get prizes and rewards. And this is kind of roadmap of how we see that. At the first, it would be just navigation and games. Then we plan to add the mascot and AI assistant, which will lead you through the store, which will tell you like, Alex, you're doing great. Last time you bought this specific brand, like cosmetic brand. How about check another brand which is next door? Also using XR holograms, and we work on few XR hologram projects here in Singapore. One was presented for the Ministry of Culture of Singapore. It was XR roleplay. And build an NFT marketplace or digital collectible marketplace, because as you know, like not everything should be NFT. Like Starbucks recently, they launched digital collectibles campaign, and again, that just means that you don't need crypto to buy it, which I think allow access to major, I mean, lots of population, major population. And last but not the least, is based on some project we done for Subaru, Samsung, Toyota. It's a product configurator. So while you're in the store, you, let's say, see Subaru car, and you can configure, you can check the different colors, you can check different specification, and you sign up for the test drive. And because currently what we deliver some isolated snippets of this VR, AR experience, for instance, Subaru Asia using our solution, but we want to integrate all this solution in one environment. And this environment will be your shopping mall for many reasons. One of the reasons, the connectivity, because it's controlled environment, you're always covered by Wi-Fi, and mostly like it's static environment most of the time and no sun rays. So the idea is what we are working on is to build not just a product, which again, this is rough cost, like $250,000 US for full scale setup of the project. And again, sometimes it could be cheaper, sometimes it's more expensive, but again, that's a price. So building the product, we actually plan to provide it free of charge. And again, I feel that this is the future of any metaverse. Instead of like 3 months for the launch, and again, we've done multiple projects, it could be even longer, mostly because it depends on the customer, and no further project development. What we propose, it's something that can be easily scalable, easily launched, and the key takeaways, we will work on the revenue share with the company. So it's a different when you come, let's say, to the mall and tell them like, guys, pay me like $100,000 to $200,000. We will create the business model, which will allow us to work on the revenue share. And we've spoken a few malls here in Singapore, as well as a few malls in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, where they have one of the largest malls. And this is they were mostly interested because they want to try it out, but none of them want to spend like $100,000 to $300,000. They want to try it out, and they don't mind to share your revenues. And we see huge adoption, which is coming. Again, that was Ray-Ban Stories that was launched like one and a half year ago. It doesn't have any mixed reality capabilities, but we expect, and this is, I think Gartner estimate that how big is going to market to be for the mixed reality glasses, that as soon as we switch from the phone to the glasses, that will be a game changer, because that will allow us in a native way to explore the spaces and all the things what I mentioned to, that will become essential part of your retail experience. Because instead of just going to the store and brick and mortar store, you will see different mini games, you will see some different experiences, 3D models, integrated advertisement, which will be based on your preferences, whether you're male, female, what's your age, background, and so on. So I think we see this more and more. I think kind of to separate this conversation in two parts, first I explain you the part that was delivered for Yes Mall, one of the largest mall in Abu Dhabi and Middle East. And again, we launched the project, more than 1,000 people tried it within a week, but still, I don't feel that it was enough. I would say it was ready for this launch, for the large scale launch. And I explain you the platform we are working on now, and hopefully by next year, we plan to launch some parts of it, which works in completely different sense, which works in completely different fundamentals, because instead of it's one-off project, this is product, this is platform which can be scaled among different companies and shopping malls and retail, and then it can be expanded. Because if you think about retail, the next, I would say, retail like controlled spaces with good internet, where lots of people, the next potential step would be airports. And again, I'm not a surprise that Changi Airport was one of the big victims of what happens during the COVID, and they would be looking for ways to innovate the way people transact and the way people navigate inside the airport. So again, without further ado, that's probably the main key essence of my topic, and yeah, would be very interested to hear your questions, if any.
Thank you very much, Vitaly. I think there are usually for our participants, they do take a while to drum up the questions. And of course, just a reminder to all participants, if you'd like to ask Vitaly any questions at all, this will be the best time to do it. And you can do it through the Q&A function. But it was just very, very impressive, Vitaly, on your sharing about from visual navigation to full immersion of holding a concert within the metaverse space, as well as enabling, let's say, NFT loyalty programs to the different visions, and including your, I would say, your outlook on the upcoming years to come, where these wearables would essentially change the way we experience the world. I was just thinking that on that part, would you think that that is something that is very, very likely to take over on the part of wearables? Because I believe that will be a game changer, like as you mentioned, for the metaverse as well as retail.
I hope none of the Apple employees during this call, because I mean, let's be honest, if you look at what Apple, the most innovative company, technology innovative company, introduced this year in iPhone, how do you call dynamic island? I mean, that's nothing. I mean, let's be honest, like the whole society works, or like the whole like multi-billion company worked just to introduce the dynamic island. So I think they lack out of any groundbreaking ideas. And I think glasses, this is just not just natural way, but this is essential way for them to survive in this competitiveness, because if they can move us from the phone to the glasses, that would be a game changer. This is something what Steve Jobs done like 15 years ago. So I think this would be one of the factors. And the second, there should be some underlying economy. And my reasoning is that many companies, and again, this is what I heard from telcos, they invested a lot in 4G infrastructure, like companies like Singtel, StarHub, and like Worldwide, they invested billions of dollars in order to build 4G infrastructure. We're talking about 4G. And guess what? Who benefit the most? Apple, Google, Facebook, and all the companies. And basically, the companies like telco, they didn't have much left for the money, because they can make money on selling mobile phones, they can make money on roaming, which was cut significantly during the COVID, and they can make money on the data plans. That's it. So again, they invested billions, they got peanuts. So that's why when we talk about 5G, they were talking that 5G it's not like your Instagram or YouTube doesn't require 5G on the back end. So we need to come out with completely new set of experiences. And again, this is one of the projects which we showed a few big telcos like region wide, and they told us that this makes perfect sense because this is something you can't pull off with 4G. This is something you can only use 5G, and that justify the billions of investment that they put in. So again, from one side we have technology companies fighting for this market. From other side we have telcos invested billions. I think where the money is, that's where we can find like a ground. I would say I try to feel that people, I would say, work. I mean, they innovate because they want to make life better and world better. But I still feel that money pushes the innovation further. So that's why I wouldn't be surprised, because I don't see other ways how we can change the way people consume the content unless they introduce the glasses. I know that there are lots of problems with wavelength optics and all that, how to give you a very good resolution and very high-end processor next to your eye, because I mean, I'm on this thematic forums, and again, 7 years in ARVR, it kind of helps. But again, I still feel that they will sort it out, and we will see something big, maybe not this year, probably next year.
Sure, no problem. And we do have some questions rolling in the floor from right now. So I think we can answer these two questions together as well. One from Daryl and one from Jibril, which is, how do you derive at the subscription model with those price points that were shown on your slide as the revenue model to go by? And the second question was, what does the $499 package come with?
So, okay, this is still a work in progress. And again, we have a few discussions with different malls. And the idea was that there are two ways how to charge it. First, you charge the mall like specific amount, let's say for the license, and the mall charge their tenants. So that's their responsibility to sell their tenants that we launch in this activation, so you can come on board, and this is the features. And there could be different packages, let's say just navigation, mini games, let's say XR holograms, so you can add these features like on a list. Another option is to come to the mall and tell them this is free of charge for you. This is potentially the way to differentiate from other malls in Singapore and to attract more customers and more engagement, more tenants. But we need at least to have 5 tenants who will sign up, let's say, for this program, let's say $199. So that will give us thousands of recurring revenue every month and 12,000 a year. So if you have even like 5-10 malls, that's already like almost $150,000, which is, I mean, still not much, because usually it's one to project, but this is recurring revenue, and you can expand it, you can develop the platform and so on. So again, that's one of the ideas. And the second, revenue share based on the metrics like how many people played, how many products sold, how many promotions done, and so on. This could be the basis for the business model. But again, the business model is still we are working on. But the price point here is, I mean, the key point is just to tell malls like, don't go anywhere to buy it for $100,000. We'll give it for free. But if it work out, it will work out, and we all make money. If it didn't work out, this is our risk, so you're not risking anything. And I think for this, I would say, kind of groundbreaking solution, you need to propose a new way of model it, not just let's custom build like a solution for you, and let's share our risks. I think that would kind of justify it.
Right. And another question we have from Jovi is regarding the hardware component, in which is it compatible or suitable with Google Glass?
No. Google Glass, if not mistaken, if you are talking about the Google Glass that was launched like, how many, when it was like 10-15 years ago, I think it's that. But it can be converted, it can be moved into a Magic Leap and HoloLens. Just like I'm a very practical person, because many people are too excited about Metaverse, NFTs and stuff. But again, I've sold 100 projects, probably I've spoken with maybe 1,000+ customers, and I've seen their concerns, especially in Singapore. They're very price cautious, they're very risk averse, and they're like, how's it going to work, and like how many people will get. Again, if you want to have some gimmicky promotion, maybe get like few magic clips on the people, just film it and tell like this is the new way of marketing, you can do that. But honestly, the easiest, I mean, for your reference, Magic Clip can cost like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 sync, depending on the version. HoloLens costs like 5,000. How many like people even have Magic Clip in Singapore? I know only 2 people. So again, if you're using your mobile phone, that's something you have in your pocket. And again, if you look at ER Kit, ER Core, I mean the key kind of basic development engine, more than 1 billion devices worldwide supported, and I would say safe to say that 99% of the Singaporeans phone supported. So again, this is something that's already available, and let's say 80% in South Asia support. And so that's why I don't think the glasses still yet, not because we can't do that. We've done very advanced project, but because it doesn't make business sense. Yeah. Because you have the phone, which is technically free of charge, or you have the glasses, which is $5,000. Which one do you want to choose?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Vitaly. And thanks for keeping everything so grounded. We love that because when talking about the metaverse and ARVR, it's sometimes very, very difficult for laymen to understand the workings of it, and most importantly, how it would bring value to the business. So thanks for keeping it so grounded. And of course, if you'd like to contact and connect with Vitaly, do search up Vostok VR and search up Vitaly. I think he has put up some of his information earlier. So possibly, yeah, if you have taken a screenshot back then, that'll be great. And of course, thank you so much, Vitaly, for your precious time and for your sharing. Thank you.
Thank you.
And guys, I just noticed that a lot of questions come in really towards the last segment. So I just like to remind everybody, number one is to utilize the Q&A function. We will not answer any questions via the chat function as it would not be well addressed. So please kindly refer to the Q&A function to ask any questions to the presenters. And the second part is along the presentation, as long as you have a question, you are free to put it in the Q&A function as well. So your question will be prioritized when it comes to the Q&A segment. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it was great to hear from Vitaly, and we have 3 speakers today. So the second of our 3 speakers is our head of field engineering at Unity. We have Ife. Now, Ife heads the South APAC Field Engineering Team at Unity Technologies, one of the world's leading platform for creating and operating real-time 3D. Now, he has quite a bit of business and technical background. I believe from what I gathered here, he has spent over 9 years working in various roles in the gaming industry, ranging from technical artist to gameplay programmer. And today, he's going to talk a bit about enhancing e-commerce experiences. So, Ife, do we have you here with us? Hi, Ife.
Yep, I'm here.
Great. Thank you. You might want to share your slides for this. Thank you.
Thanks, Ching Hong. For a while there, I thought you had 3 mics with you.
That is part of a very basic virtual background.
Okay, so I hope you can see my slides.
Yes, Ife. Let me just take a look. Yes, it's all good. Thank you. Over to you.
Cool. So the theme for today's webinar is Metaverse in Retail, Future of Customer Engagement. So my name is Ife. I'm with Unity Technologies. I'm the head of field engineering for South APAC. So I'm a technical person. I'm not a salesperson. So I'm not here today to pitch to you a service or product, but more on sharing our thoughts on this subject and share a case study with you on how a customer uses immersive technology, real-time 3D technology to help with improving customers' buying experience and how that would translate to more sales. So just to give a very quick introduction to Unity Technologies, we are the world's leading platform for creating and operating interactive real-time 3D content. So using our platform, you are able to deploy to all these different platforms, more than 20 platforms and counting, including iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, AR/VR platforms, consoles, and so on. And over half of Switch titles are made with Unity. So you might be familiar with some of these games like Ori or Genshin Impact. And in 2020, Q4 of 2020, 71% of the top 1,000 mobile games are made with Unity. So we are a company born from gaming, but we are gaining a lot of momentum in the verticals as well. So companies like Disney, Volvo, they uses Unity for their experiences of building digital twins, AI and simulation, robotics, and many more other use cases. Right, so with that out of the way, I think it's important to define how we see the metaverse or how we understand the metaverse. This is obviously a very popular or hot buzzword with metaverse. A lot of companies are asking how can they jump on the metaverse bandwagon, what can they do for the metaverse and so on. And there wasn't a lot of clear understanding of what the metaverse is about. So a lot of people, when they hear Metaverse, they think it is about VR, or it is about maybe perhaps AR. So putting on a headset, just like what you see in the movie Ready Player One, you are in this virtual world, you have your avatar interacting with other avatar. But the way we see it, it's a lot simpler than that, not so complicated. It is just the next generation of the internet. There is always real time, mostly 3D, mostly interactive, mostly social, and mostly persistent. So if you think about the internet, when it first started, you have just text on the web pages, right? And as it slowly evolves, you start to see static images on web pages, and then more and more you would see more interactions with other users of the internet. You get social media platforms, you get messaging applications, and then you get videos like YouTube or embedded videos in websites. So it is just a natural evolution for the internet to include more content-rich, richer content to the website. So we think this will mean more real-time 3D and interactive content. So why is it important to prepare for this future? Here's a quote by an SVP at IBM. The last best experience that anyone has anywhere becomes the minimum expectation for the experience they want everywhere. So this is a personal experience I had was when I first visited the restaurant Hai Di Lao. I don't know whether you've been, but their service is exceptional. They make everything very personal. They make it a point to address you by name. And even before you step into the restaurant, they serve you with snacks. They make sure that you're well taken care of. Nail polishing services, massages, place for your kids to play. So it's just a whole different level of service. And after I visited Hai Di Lao, I know that, well, the rest of the restaurant services is not as great as I thought. So there's some truth to what this SVP said about setting expectation and having the best experience as the minimum expectation. So we can see from some companies doing this as well. So IKEA, in many ways, they revolutionized the way of presenting their product, not just as a 2D presentation, but as a 3D immersive experience. So with the IKEA Place app, users are able to see or visualize the IKEA furniture in their home via AR. So they can see how the furniture will fit in their home, or how it would look like, and whether it gels well with the rest of the house. And following suit was Wayfair. They did something similar with an AR application, just like IKEA. And by the way, both of these AR applications were built with Unity. And very soon, other furniture manufacturers followed suit, like House and Williams Sonoma. So the way they did it, IKEA built it. They have an internal team that is able to leverage on Unity to build this application. Same for Wayfair and House. But Williams Sonoma, they rocketed their progress by just acquiring a company that specializes in AR experiences. So here's a video I want to share with you. This is Dyson. They are talking about how VR helps with their product development, and also allowing users to better experience their product and appreciate the technology that went into making these products possible. Oh, and I think I forgot to share with audio on, so I'll try to reshare. Hang on. Let me know if you don't hear the audio.
Sure. I'm sorry, Ife, are you sharing at the moment?
Yes, I'm sharing.
Oh, I think what we're seeing is just a freeze frame of your slide. Yeah, I don't think we see the video playing. Yeah, you might have to just stop and reshare once more. Thank you.
We've developed
it's looking good now. Thank you.
So that you can get a hands-on experience of using the product and seeing what it's like in your home. It's different in that you can dive inside the product and see the technology, get a really, really wonderful three-dimensional virtual experience of what the product's all about.
We have design engineers and mechanical engineers who create the CAD of the physical product, and then that's used throughout the whole company. And it's those models that we use directly in our virtual worlds. For us, with VR, it's been about developing and making the invisible visible. So enabling our engineers to be able to see and understand the technology and understand the decisions that are being made.
Developing a vehicle in VR, things that were would have been very hard to create physically. We could try things just quickly moving surfaces around. So it really changed the speed that we could work at.
You could sit inside a prototype and you could look out of the window, you could look around you and see the completed car. It's an extraordinary tool.
Dyson have got the technology in our machines to be able to create this space, this environment.
And what the actual platform itself gives us is a real good opportunity to show some of the things that are difficult to show in physical and online.
It sits alongside the physical world that we've created in our stores all over the world.
You may think of online selling as a one-way experience, but of course we do one-to-one sales online and live demonstrations from engineers. It's just a much, much better experience of understanding what a product is, what's inside it, and what it can do, and seeing it operating in a very, very realistic way. We've developed a...
So that was Dyson. Here's another one. This is Kia, a Korean auto manufacturer. They wanted to create a very exciting experience for their buyers when they want to buy a car. So they built this really realistic and high quality car configurator on their website. So the buyer can experience the car externally and look at the internal of the car, and even down to the battery and the transmission of the car. So they get to appreciate every aspect of the car before they make a decision to purchase the car. So they even included a virtual driving experience. So they're not alone in this digital reinvention. And according to Fortune.com, 75% of Fortune 500 CEOs are accelerating technology transformation in response to the pandemic. And an article from The Atlantic says that COVID-19 has shifted spending to the virtual economy and compressing 10 years of anticipated e-commerce growth into a matter of weeks. So it's not a stretch to say that your digital storefront is now your most important piece of real estate. And according to Shopify, 94% of buyers are more likely to purchase products with 3D or AR content. And according to Audi, 66% more customer engagement with real-time 3D configurators over the traditional 2D configurators. And according to TSUM, 40% increase in purchases when using 3D product images. So looking at all these numbers here, this is definitely something worth investing in. So what's getting in the way? Number one, a lot of companies and agencies today, they are very entrenched in the 2D workflow and system. They are familiar with creating content like static images or videos and adapting new technologies like real-time 3D or even AR and VR. It's a high barrier to overcome. Number two, it's also difficult in procuring 3D assets. So some companies, they may not have the CAD model for their product, and engaging with different or multiple agencies to create these 3D assets may mean a difference in quality. And there's also a lack of resources to build or buy your way to 3D AR commerce. So your team may not have the capability or know-how to create 3D content or real-time 3D content, or there may not be enough or affordable agencies or companies to acquire that specialize in 3D or AR commerce. So what would remove these roadblocks? An interactive 3D workflow with no need to rip or replace the current workflow. And a single source of truth for 3D assets for marketing content. So what this means is from the original CAD model, this can propagate through the rest of your chain. So using the same 3D CAD model can be used for marketing, can be used for visualization purposes, and can be used for simulation purposes as well. So the same CAD model means you have consistency and you ensure accuracy and quality throughout the entire chain. And existing talent empowered to work in 3D. So this means upskilling your team to adapt to the technology and work with real-time 3D technology. So really, a better, faster way to prepare and showcase products for immersive, interactive product design shopping means to fast-track your team's ability to let customers configure and experience products in interactive 3D, AR, and more in your app, websites, and so on. So the pipeline could look something like this, where you have your CAD models. Ideally, you would ingest this CAD model into a platform that enables real-time 3D like Unity in a very fast and efficient manner. And in this real-time 3D platform like Unity, with a marketer-friendly UI, so your user doesn't need to be very technical, doesn't need to know how to program and use the program to create content, from creating still images to videos to even immersive content like AR and VR, and to be able to publish to different platforms, be it websites or applications or streaming. So really, this means you can extend your product to every touch point on the website or as a virtual showroom, in product catalogs, in-store displays, digital marketing, and experiential marketing. So you've seen like examples that I mentioned, IKEA, Wayfair, Dyson, Kia, and all these are very big companies and they have a lot of resources to throw around. But what about like smaller companies with limited resources? How do you look into transitioning to the metaverse, or how do you look into getting prepared for the metaverse? So I want to share with you a case study here. This is On and Off, a company specializes in safe and kid-friendly audio equipment. So they are a small company. They have less than 30 employees, but they realize the importance of digitally transitioning to the digital platform, and they realize the importance of giving their buyer a more immersive and interactive experience. And they've worked with Visionaries 777 to achieve their vision. So Visionary 777 is a Unity certified creator, and they've leveraged on some of Unity's technology to achieve On and Off vision. So here's a quick glance of the products from On and Off. They have a wide range of different headphones, and all of their headphones are customizable, be it different colors, or they have different plates on the earphone cups. So all this presents some challenge to them because it takes a very long time for them to categorize all these different combinations and put them into a catalog and for the user to appreciate and customize the headphones. So really, they have a goal in mind when they embark on this journey. They want to build things cheaper, faster, and better. And from this, Visionary 777 identified that what they need is a digital twin of their product. And using the digital twin, they can render realistic-looking images of their product without having the actual physical product ready. And that also means they don't have to wait for the actual physical product to produce marketing materials and to produce packaging art for their boxes. And also having a digital twin allows them to create configurators that are very interactive and immersive for their customers to experience and see how they can customize their headphones before ordering. So here's a video to show you what they achieved with the product configurator. So with this configurator, they were able to create an experience that is 3D, interactive, and real-time for the customer to choose and select how they want their headphones to appear. So this was all done without any coding, without any assistance from a programmer. Everything is drag and drop, just checking in sliders, ticking boxes, and you have a product configurator. So this just to give you a comparison between how the real product looks like versus how the digital product looks like. And with this, they were able to digitalize their entire product line with Unity Forma. And I'll explain a little bit what Unity Forma is. But all in all, they were able to achieve 70% faster than before when producing marketing material. So before they were spending a lot of time rendering the digital products, spending a lot of time tweaking and fixing the renderings. But with Unity Format, they were able to speed things up, and this saves them a lot of time. And the same images that they produced was able to scale to 17K images, and this was good for using for their packaging. So the final outcome, 66% less design phase development time, 400% more design capacity in direct-to-consumer model, 2.5 months earlier to market with marketing materials. And this is a quote from their CEO. Unity Format gives us the capabilities of a big company with the agility of a small one. So at the heart of their transformation is Unity Format. So Unity Format is a product from Unity. The aim here is to let users quickly create a digital twin of their product in a way that doesn't require any technical knowledge and is marketer friendly UI. So in this image here that you see on the left, you can ingest different models, 3D models, CAD models into Format, and then once you've ingested all this model into Unity, this becomes your master marketing model. And you can easily share this across all your different partners or team members across your group. And you can create different experiences out of it, be it images, videos, 360 videos, or even immersive content, AR and VR. And you can publish to all different platforms like mobile, WebGL, cloud streaming, AR and VR, and so on. So to cap off my presentation today, I want to leave you with this. So we've all experienced how buying behavior has changed with the pandemic, and a world where every product, no matter its cost or size, is sold online is coming fast. And to succeed, teams need to produce much more marketing content. But marketing can't stay the same today as it was yesterday. So it is not enough anymore to just produce static images or videos. Users are expecting more. They're expecting interactivity. They're expecting immersive experience. And real-time 3D is the key to solving these marketing challenges. So thank you for your time. If you wish to connect, my email is here, ife@unity3d.com.
Thank you very much, Ife. Thanks for the
Thank you very much.
It sounds like a huge enabler in the space of Unity Format, and thanks for sharing the technologies. And of course, it's really, really very interesting because when you share things like, I especially agree with the quote that you say that the last best experience become the baseline for the future. And of course, on the part of immersive media, I'd just like to share that I just renovated my house this year. So the color of the paint was also chosen using Nippon Paint's app. So that was actually very, very interesting. And logically, when you go to the step of choosing a color using an app, you will naturally go for the brand to match the color to avoid any disappointment. And I think that's amazing with the configurator. And of course, you guys are doing much more complex stuff for Kia and IKEA, etc. So we do have a couple of questions over here. I'm not sure if all related to your presentation, but I'm going to try to shoot for that. So first up from Jibril is, any plans for the Unity 3D WebGL to be supported on mobile devices?
Yep, it is in fact already supported on mobile devices.
Oh.
The earlier version, when you make a WebGL application, when you try to run it on a mobile device, you would see a pop-up to warn you that mobile WebGL may not be supported on mobile devices. That's because in the early days, mobile devices are not as powerful as today's. And also the support for WebGL varies across different mobile browsers. So some mobile browsers supports a more set of features from WebGL, while some support lesser. So there is this difference in support. That's why the warning message here. But with the newer version of Unity, now we've removed that warning pop-up, and we've also added more support for mobile on WebGL front.
Right. And the next question is coming from Leah, saying that thanks, Ife. Based on the videos, I believe you need to go down to the store to try, for example. I think it's pertaining to the hairdryer from Dyson. So she's saying that why not, if you need to go down to the store to try this virtual reality experience, so why not just try it in store?
Well, sometimes that may not be available because maybe a Dyson store is not within your vicinity. or maybe
Right.
during, like lockdown time, you were not
Ah.
able to visit a physical store, right? So we all know that this pandemic is hopefully almost over, but who's to say the next pandemic is just around the corner, right? So we may be back in lockdown and there may be no way to access a physical store. And really what Dyson was trying to show to the customer with the virtual store was the technology behind the products. So they want to let you visualize things that are invisible, things like airflow coming out from the dryer, or things like how particles from the air can be cleansed with their air cleanser, right? So these are things that you can't see with your eyes, and this will be only be able visualized through something like VR or AR.
Absolutely. And on top of that, if they want to launch a new product, they can actually do the virtual experience first for everyone to experience before having that actual product, right? Which is something like the company with the headphones as well. Yeah, amazing. Yeah. So the next question is fairly technical, which I'm sure is up your alley, Ife. So Harsha is asking, Unreal is using nanite geometry as rendering technology to render pixel scale detail and high object count. As compared, how does Unity fare to this? Yeah.
Well, I can't share much on this yet. I can only say that we are working on innovative ideas to tackle some of these issues. But if you look at the solutions available for today for Unity, there are users trying to fill the gap, and there's one user that I know is trying to create something like Nanite that works with Unity. So yeah, but at this point of time, I can't really share much about what we're doing to address this, other than we're working on it.
Sure, no problem. So without this sounding much like a technical help desk, we're going to go on to conclude this presentation. We want to thank Ife really so much for sharing the possible technologies, especially for smaller outfits. We do all know that bigger brands have the capability to outsource the entire production and management. But when it comes to smaller outfits, especially local-based companies, they might be able to use Unity Forma to find something for themselves as well. So thank you, Ife, for the sharing. And Ife, if you do not mind, to all the speakers as well, there's actually a function in Q&A for you to actually type out the answer. So there's just a couple more questions. If you do not mind, and that is something that you can address, would you mind typing the answer straight to the participants in the Q&A as well? Thank you very much, Ife.
Yeah,
really, thank you for your time.
Hong.
Thank you. All right. And of course, that was fairly technical, but it was really, really interesting on how the platforms itself can be utilized by smaller outfits, as I mentioned, to enhance e-commerce experiences on a lower cost basis and a more sustainable effort, as well as a tryout in a way. So next up is actually pretty interesting. We have the last speaker, last but not the least. We have Clarence Chan, the founder of Bandwagon. So you might have seen him on the news quite a bit. And I think he comes from a very, very unique space. I think he's the hybrid of tech and arts. I think he has a fairly musical background as well as experience in that field as well. He's the founder of Bandwagon Labs, whose goal is to help brands create their shop fronts in the interoperable metaverse. I know that's a lot to take in. So I told Terence, I said, I didn't really understand that. Would you be explaining that? He said, yes, no problem. He was starting from ground zero for anyone who doesn't understand. But he and his team has actually worked on Capitaverse with Capital Land, which pioneer Web3 and in real life retail utility at scale in Singapore. So without further ado, let's welcome Clarence. Hi, Clarence.
Hey, hi, Ting Hong. Awesome.
All's good on your front.
All right. Can you hear me well?
Yes, loud and clear. And are you playing a video already? Or
No,
there's a video?
I'm sharing a slide. Can you all see it?
Cool. Yes, we can see it. Over to you, Clarence. Take it away.
Right. Hey, so hi everyone. Clarence here from Bandwagon Labs. A shout out to IMDA Pixel for putting this together. I think it's simply awesome. I was learning so much from the past two panelists, and the first panelist talked about VR, AR, and the Metaverse, which for him was in Fortnite, and his own proprietary Metaverse. The second speaker talked about Unity, which is the core technology for a lot of apps and games that we encountered today. And for us, we are going on a slightly different tangent. And that is talking about decentralized metaverses, which is what we employed for Capitaverse. So we're going to make this presentation quite case study rich. I think the earlier presentations had a lot of frameworks that would help everyone understand. And also, before I start, just wanted to shout out my Bandwagon Labs team who are joining in this call. Thanks so much. It's the team that makes the dream work. So thank you guys for being here as well. So yeah, this is my contact in case any of you are wanting to find out more. A lot of our thoughts and the latest developments are on Twitter. If you are familiar with crypto, digital assets, you know that a lot of development actually happens on Twitter, and that's where a lot of us connect. So feel free to check that out. And we also have a web URL, bandwagonlabs.xyz, where we document a bit more about what we do. So we are a tech division of Bandwagon, which has been around for 11 years. We've been servicing brands in the entertainment space or brands who want to associate with the entertainment space. And we are Southeast Asia's leading music and entertainment media and 7-time live and hybrid events award winner. When COVID came, you know that live entertainment was just shut down overnight. But our team was able to create some really awesome hybrid experiences, and we won 5 event awards that year for some of our hybrid entertainment experiences. So we took our capabilities in entertainment and really pushed into Web3 really heavily in the past couple of years. And right now, Bandwagon Labs, our vision, as Ting Hong mentioned, is to help brands create their storefronts in the interoperable metaverse. So later on, I'll explain what this means when I show you things like the land map. But for now, just hold your seatbelts. So our unique selling proposition is having the resources and skill sets under one roof. So if you're familiar with Web3 metaverses, to build on them, you need to have land. So as a company, we have a huge land bank that's able to scale different experiences. We also do the 3D architecture design. We look at the content creation as well, developing of mini games. And because we are focused on Web3, which involves a lot of cryptocurrency, a lot of smart contracts, NFTs, we also handle the smart contract development in-house as well. We look at the interaction design. We have our own tech stack, which I'll talk about later, which allows people to do things like streaming, things like analytics, smart pixels. And we also have community engagement, which is a huge part of our core capabilities in being able to evangelize our own events, our own projects to people in the space that have a huge share of voice. And lastly, we also, because of our entertainment roots, do a lot of talent engagement. So we are the first in Singapore to be a verified partner of Decentraland, which is the metaverse that Capitaverse was based in. So what is Decentraland? It is the #1 public and decentralized Web3 metaverse. They have their own ERC20 token, which is called Mana. So if you're familiar with cryptocurrency, for example, Ethereum, you can convert your Ethereum to Mana tokens. And in this land, there is a fixed amount of land. So unlike, say, Fortnite or Call of Duty, where the game makers can keep expanding the land, in a decentralized world, these are fixed. And you can verify this on the smart contracts when they create the land. So in Decentraland, for example, there are over 90,000 of them. So this is what a top-down view of the map looks like. So what I'm showing you is something really new. It was just launched actually less than an hour before our presentation, and it's called Genesis City. So genesis.city. So what this site did is it actually took a top-down view of all the different builds inside of Decentraland, and you can actually zoom in to see a top-down view or aerial shot of the builds. So now each of these squares, right, you see the large ones, and it actually goes down to really, really small ones. So these are all unique lands that are digital assets. So by digital assets, it means that there is a hash that is attributed to this piece of content. It can be bought, it can be sold, it can be traded. And that's where you hear a lot of trading of NFTs come in. So in this case, instead of an image, you are trading a land. So some of you may have heard of companies like DBS buying land just last week in Sandbox. You may have heard of CDL, their chairman, who has been very vocal in buying land inside of Decentraland. So you hear of these kinds of moves of people who are buying virtual estate. Now, some of you may be wondering, like, what's the difference between this and, say, something like Second Life, right? Or something like SimCity. Well, the whole idea of ownership is something that is huge in a Web3 metaverse, whereby you don't just play it, you don't just share it, you can play, share, and own. So what this allows is that you do not need to talk to a game maker, right, to be able to create an experience. So if you are an SME, I'm sure there's some SMEs in the house, or you are a startup, right? You may not have the years of Riot Games or have the scale to be able to reach out to them. But because of a decentralized infrastructure, you are able to create your own experience, and you are able to tap on the user base that are already in this space. So that's why you see things like neighborhoods forming. Like if you are near Snoop Dogg, or say you're near the Bored Ape Yacht Club, you see that the lands go for premium. So it's opened up this whole new economy. And by the idea of interoperability, like Ting Hong mentioned, what it means is that you are able to interoperate between different Web3 metaverses. And this is possible because of the blockchain, like I mentioned earlier. So these blockchains are, for example, based on different layer ones like Ethereum, and it allows, say, something in Sandbox to potentially be also used inside Decentraland and also used in any other EVM compatible metaverses. So part of what we do is also being really community-based, and that's how we get a lot of our latest ideas and how we also evangelize a lot of our projects to key members. And we are fortunate to be able to get our builds and our development noticed by some of the most influential people in Web3, people like, for example, founder of Neon Cats, the co-founder of Decentraland. So I'm going to begin by sharing with you a highlights video of what we actually created. And in this video, you will be able to get a sense of what is a Web3 metaverse, what is the experience like, how many people actually come for this. And later on, I will break down these specific parts and talk more about them. And we will end off with a few more case studies.
Welcome down to Metaverse. Let's go.
Ever it was, I moved on and I don't care. The front I put in your face. I say what I want and pretend like I'm all of it.
You come from a land down under.
All right. So now, why the metaverse? I think earlier, our two speakers talked about it. What is the metaverse? So some people may have remembered it from playing The Sims, for example. It basically means meta plus universe. So it was first coined in Snow Crash, this book by Neil Stephenson, where he talked about this world where there are avatars and there are different artificial intelligence and people logging in via VR to experience a particular realm. And some of you may have watched Steven Spielberg's interpretation of this concept in Ready Player One. So Metaverse got quite mainstream, right? Facebook changed their name, which obviously surprised a lot of people. And we see more firms embracing this concept, and of course stock prices that are associated with Metaverse also went up. Crypto, the rise of crypto also empowered the Metaverse. It allowed people to transact and to be able to have an exchange of value. So when we talk about Metaverse for our topic, it's a little bit different from the earlier two speakers because when we talk about Web3 metaverses, we are talking about a metaverse which has a spatial web, but it also has other key Web3 functions. For example, the idea of an underlying blockchain that validates and that allows for exchange of value to happen. It also uses things like NFTs to be able to identify, to be able to control access points. It also has things like gaming, and you have concepts where you can play to earn. For example, instead of playing and just getting a high score, you play and you win something, or you get something that you own. And the last part of it is tapping on DeFi, which is actually decentralized finance. So this is where you have people, for example, loaning items for gameplay, and being able to collect or to be able to stake their land in return for value. So the culmination of all these things is what we at Bandwagon Labs call the Web3 metaverse. So NFTs is used very widely in the Web3 metaverse, and it is basically a digital certificate. So you can think of it as an identity that people use inside of the virtual world. It also entails things like wearables, which, as you saw in CapitaLand earlier, we had that Planet Aura, which people could wear. So this is actually bought, sold, and traded on the marketplace, which today in Decentraland has more than 20,000 different wearables. So it unlocks a new digital economy, and for brands who are looking at new value and uncovering spaces which could potentially be new revenue streams, NFTs in the form of wearables or in the form of identities are one thing to look at. So earlier I was explaining the difference between, say, a centralized metaverse like Fortnite and one like Sandbox and Decentraland. So this is a simple image that explains the difference between these. So the ownership here is actually decentralized in a place like Decentraland. So instead of shareholders in Riot Games or EA Sports making the decisions, in a decentralized metaverse, we have something called a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, which is basically a company that is run on smart contracts, or basically a set of rules that the computer can understand. So this allows for any owner or any stakeholder of the metaverse to be able to understand where the future is headed, to be able to put forward your own projects that value add your land and that of your neighbors or even the entire community. So now for Capitaverse, what we did was to basically create a metaverse experience for them in a plot of land, which basically is an NFT. It has a unique owner, in this case us, and they utilize our land to be able to create their first metaverse experience. So we chose this idea of a rocket ship, which was created by our Bandwagon Labs team because they wanted to kind of showcase that they were launching into the metaverse, and a rocket is something that really signifies launch. And at the same time, it's not easy to recreate in the real world, but we can do it easily in the metaverse. And if you look at the building kind of resembles those containers that you see jutting out in Funan Mall, where you see them sticking out and kind of overlapping each other. So we took inspiration from that and added other things like teleporting stations where people can jump from one place to another, and even go through some virtual wheels as well. So firstly, we want to talk about the build. We want to share with you a bit how these are created. So this is an example of Chris Chong, the CEO of CapitaLand, being here at our metaverse build. So it first starts with 3D sketches. We look at what the client wants, what are some creatives that they admire, what are some architectural structures, and just like how you do a real life building, we would do a metaverse building. And after the 3D sketches, we go to the mock-up. So the mock-up phase is where we refine more, we let people explore, they go into each level, they can get a feel of the space. Now, each piece of land, right, in the metaverse has a specific size. So if you see here, there's a few green plots of land, right? So in Decentraland, each plot is actually 16 meters by 16 meters. So you can think of it in real world, how long is 16 meters to you by 16, and you will get that same feel in the metaverse. So something like Sandbox is larger. Sandbox per parcel is about 96 by 96. Yeah, so it really depends and varies according to the metaverse. And once we're done with the mockup, then we move to the final product and we flesh out the colors, the shine, the finishing. That's how it works. The next key element is the idea of wearables. So in the metaverse, you don't just come as a human. You can come as a robot, you can come as a polar bear, you can come as an alien. It's up to you. So you basically go into the marketplace. Some things are free, some things are paid. and you can basically collect and style yourself in a way that befits your identity. So when we were looking at Capitaverse, one of the things was wanting to have something that is thematic to the idea of rocket, to the idea of launching, and something that also doesn't take away from their own fashion sense. So that's where we came up with the idea of auras, which basically go around the avatar, as you see here.
Shorty said she coming with a break, with a pen, with a gun, coming with a break, with a pen, with a gun, coming with a break, with a pen, with a gun, coming with a break, with a shorty said she coming with a break, so a young nigga pull up in the road, she said she wanna come home, yeah.
Yep. So this example of how one of the influencers actually customized her own avatar. And you could see for me, it was the year of the tiger. So I went in a tiger suit with an Ethereum logo at the front. The next part of the experience, which definitely was one of the more interesting ones, was the idea of NFT. And that really helped Capitaverse to stand out. So at the point of time when we did this project, NFTs were getting a lot of hype thanks to some very high value collections like say the CryptoPunks or Bored Ape Yacht Club. And there was a lot of awareness around these NFTs. So what we created was the idea of an NFT, and not just an NFT for NFT's sake, but an NFT with utility. So we looked at CapitaLand's portfolio and what were some of the strong points that they have. And clearly as a mall, tenants and brands are one of their strongest points. So what we actually suggested and eventually rolled out was the idea of being able to show your NFT at more than 16 malls across Singapore and to be able to get deals from all these different places. So this is really interesting because it now pushes the idea of customer rewards to another level, right? In the past, I needed to download their app of the mall. I needed to have this pass. It's non-transferable. And, if I delete the app or lost my account, it's gone. Whereas now with an NFT, right, you can have it in a universal wallet. You could use Trust Wallet, you could use MetaMask, you could use basically any crypto wallet, and you could store these NFTs. And these NFTs are transferable. So if you have won it in the future, if you want to give it to your family member to use it to benefit from the perks of it, you can do so. And for some NFTs, these could actually become an economic model where if it is valuable enough, people may actually want to put a price to it. And we actually saw in Capitaverse and in some of our other events where people actually put a price to it and they sell it. And how it benefits the brand as a whole, the one who launches the NFTs, you can also put something in the smart contract whereby you get, for example, a share of the revenue of the price of the NFT. So this can be baked into the smart contract and accruing a new revenue stream. And that's how you see brands like Bored Ape Yacht Club being so successful because with their trading volume, they take a cut of it, and that's just recurring revenue for the brands. The next aspect of it is the party. So creating the experience inside of the metaverse where we look for talents, we help to ensure that the whole event has that few hours where a mass of people would come together and have a good time and communicate. And so that's something that at Bandwagon Labs, we look into for CapitaLand. The next thing is games. So you can come up with all different kinds of games in the metaverse. Basically, the world is the oyster. You can create anything. So for Capitaverse, we wanted something that was simple for the mass audience to understand, and yet also provide the brands with a good brand recall in the metaverse. So what we did was to allow their logos to be placed randomly across different parts of the venue in 3D form, and they were rotating. So people had to go and find the respective logos. These changed per hour as different brands participated, and they offered different perks as well. So what this allowed for people to do is to come in at different hours to try their hands at winning some of these prizes. So these included vouchers, tickets, and more. So what's next in the metaverse? For us at Bandwagon Labs, we are constantly staying ahead. We are looking at different kind of play-to-earn activities. We're looking at projection mapping, which is increasingly what we're seeing in the physical, but also can be done in the virtual. And why it's interesting in the virtual is because you can create something totally crazy. So for example, this setup that we had here, we had it across a 40 meter length. LED, and it had more than 100 different screens put together. If we were to do this in real life, right, it would cost us maybe about 300,000 to 400,000. But if we do it in the metaverse, it's 10% of the cost. Yeah, we're also exploring features like allowing people to fly in the metaverse, and that allows for a lot of unique utility that we can give to people inside the world as well. And basically, moving from just building buildings, but also to build scenes. So the one you see on the bottom right is actually a desert scene where we're inspired by the F1. So you see the fences that look kind of like an F1, and we had a race circuit. Just that unlike the real world F1, our F1 circuit could kind of go spiral upwards 5 stories high. It had a vertical jump point where the roads just disappear and you kind of hang in the air and you have to jump. So we can recreate stuff like that that really helps people to reimagine what is impossible in real life. So now I think the next question is like, what is needed on a technical standpoint to build in the metaverse? And a tech stack is very important to be able to execute on a high level some of your dream features. So at Bandwagon Labs, we have been investing a lot of time and money in establishing our own tech stack that allows for us to save our customers the cost of doing everything from scratch, and they pay a fraction of the cost, so that it's faster, better, cheaper for them to roll out themselves in the metaverse. So for example, we would have things like API gateways that allows for two-way communication. So this is used, for example, for CapitaLand. They wanted to understand who are the people who are actually going there. So in metaverses like Sandbox or Decentraland, you typically only capture wallet addresses, but we were able to capture, for example, emails, first name, last name, and other things that they wanted to capture. So we do this via our own API gateway. We understand that for brands, being able to find out more details and data about their users is important, and that's where we have embedded our own 3D smart pixels into our builds. So this gives brands a lot more granular data. And we also have things like a media live infrastructure using the same one that Fox Sports uses for their live sports to be able to offer things like low latency presentations inside of the metaverse, or even concerts with very low latency for high traffic. And something that we've also pioneered is when working with a lot of the big Fortune 500 companies, the idea of security and infrastructure becomes an issue. So we are able to make our whole metaverse tech stack modular. And so we're able to plug and play and plug it into our clients' tech stack, and they can run it and manage it there. And lastly, for retail, the idea of being able to transact, right, is really important. And some people feel that, hey, I may not have a crypto wallet, right? So how else can I earn? So something at Bandwagon Labs, which we have been pioneering, and we are looking for brands who want to collaborate with us to really give this a test, is the idea of an in-metaverse credit card payment system. So what we have done and have tested internally is someone could pay using their credit card. So for example, I pay for a shirt inside the metaverse using my credit card. I get the metaverse version dropped into my wallet instantly. And I also get the physical version sent to my real address in real life. So that's something that we're testing out. And if anyone here is interested to run a trial with us, we can definitely discuss that. The last thing is also attendance passes, and making it really easy for people who are new to digital assets. Many of them may not have gas, which basically is like fuel when you drive a car. You need that to be able to get around. So to collect NFTs, you typically will need gas in the form of, for example, Ethereum, or in our case, Mana tokens. So what we're able to do is to create a way that people do not need gas. So people who are new, they have not bought any crypto, they can still get the NFTs and collect it in their wallets. So that's one of the innovations that we have done. So in case you are wanting to join us, we have monthly concerts in the metaverse that pioneers a lot of our new tech. Our next one is in October. We are going to do a Halloween special. Yeah, and the metaverse journey, we always tell clients, is one that is always evolving. And just to show you an example of like how we have evolved as a company, when we first started, we just had a red brick venue, which was inspired by the Pasir Panjang power station. We recreated something like that, and it slowly grew bigger and bigger. And parcel got larger and larger by parcel size. And that's the way that you can also look at your events. You can try something in a small scale first, and then as you're comfortable, as you understand the tech and its possibilities, you can scale it up. So to round off the idea of the decentralized metaverse, I thought I would just share about this metaverse wedding which Ching Hong talked about. It was the first inside of Sandbox in the world, and the first in Singapore to be a decentralized wedding. So this is actually me and my wife. We got married 2 weeks ago, and there was a physical wedding inside a Regent hotel. But what we did was also to create a digital twin. But it's not really a twin because we went for another venue that we wanted to go to, but we just couldn't because of a family preferred indoor environment, and that's Alcove Mansion. And we worked with them and Small Studios, and we created ourselves as avatars inside of the metaverse. And we also had things like NFTs. We had ourselves as avatar characters, and these are new ways where you can go beyond your physical attendees, right? Unlike the 300-400 people that are limited to my physical venue, like what the first speaker shared, anyone in the world can come for a wedding, and they can come as any form. And we can have a value exchange, right? We can have also certain token gated access and utility that really opens up a whole new world. And largely, they can also socialize and make friends. So with that, we've come to the end of the sharing. We would like to encourage you to make the metaverse your reality today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Clarence. That was a brilliant sharing, and very, very comprehensive as well. I'm just sorry that we don't have enough time for you to just go on more about the metaverse, because I'm sure with the number of questions that I'm looking at, I think a lot of them do have a lot of questions. So may I please invite you to just take a screenshot, or just do it the very, very traditional way of picking out your phone and taking a photo of the screen if you are using a laptop for the video conference right now. So we won't have time to answer that many questions. Currently, we have like 10 and going. So we're just going to pick a couple of questions that are very, very related to Clarence's presentation. And for the rest, we'd like to invite Clarence. Is it okay for you to continue answering the question later on as we do our presentation on IMDA Pixel? Would it be possible for you to type it out? Thank you very much, Clarence. We're trying to breeze this through. Okay, first up, we have one from Tuan N, which is, how do they get the immersive experience if they do not wear the VR headset? Is this a VR specific experience for Decentraland?
Yeah, so for Decentraland, there are plans. They are right now developing the VR capability. So that will be an option for people in the future. They are also building the mobile app for people who want to just join by mobile. Right now, the experience is on desktop. And the reason for desktop is one of security, because we are dealing with crypto, with assets, with potentially millions of dollars of people's wallets. So a desktop allows for greater security to be in place. And so people actually join as avatar, and they walk around in a spatial web.
Right. Oh, wow. I thought that was in VR. It looks very, very immersive as well. Yeah. Cool. So the other question that we had was that I think that was a pretty good question as well. So how does the in-metaverse credit card system differ from real-world payment gateways or credit card system?
Oh, okay, that's a great question. So right now we are building it based on the API. So we're leveraging on Stripe to be able to facilitate the payments. So you see Stripe being used by a lot of Shopify and other companies as well. So that is the payment gateway that we're integrated with, and it's also built on the WooCommerce infrastructure. So we can also utilize other infrastructures as well, as long as they have an API that we can work with.
Definitely. Sounds great. Oh, so it's working on Stripe. Great. So there's another question from Hasher, which is he's saying, hey Clarence, is there any section in Bandwagon Labs to import our own game-ready avatar?
Okay, so if you're talking about Decentraland, then the avatars have to follow the Decentraland standard. You can't import your own game-ready avatars. But I guess we can share that we are also experimenting with our own proprietary metaverse built on 3JS, which is a very next frontier 3D framework. So that we would be able to import certain avatars. For example, we already have Ready Player Me that is being usable. So some others, avatar makers may want to work with that. So that is something that we can do on a proprietary solution, but not in Decentraland.
Understand. Noted on that. Thank you very much, Clarence. And I do think we have a couple more questions which we would like to invite you to answer on a Q&A basis. And of course, while we carry out our next program. Thank you so much, Clarence. And please connect with Clarence. I know you guys have so many questions, and there's so much possibilities that Clarence has brought to us. A flying F1 track, loyalty program, tokens that they can claim in actual malls. I don't know how excited you guys are. I can sense it across the screen and just based on the number of questions. So Clarence, please do us the favor to answer them. Thank you so much, Clarence, for spending your time. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Once again, we'd like to thank our speakers, Vitally, Ife, and Clarence, for sharing all these amazing experiences. And we on our end from IMDA, we have another experience to share with you. We do understand that when talking about digital innovation, it can be rather challenging, which is why IMDA is here every step of the way with you. Whether you are a startup looking for, incubator, or whether you're looking for, innovative digital solutions for your existing brick and mortar business and stuff like that, we are here with you and also providing certain facilities at Pixel. So with that, I would like to welcome our senior manager from IMDA, Janice, to share a little bit more on the IMDA innovation facilities that we have for existing corporates and startups as well. Janice, please.
Thanks, Sing Hong. Yeah, are you able to hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Yeah, so while we wait for Clarence to, answer many questions that we have online, I'll just very quickly wrap up and share with you guys who we are. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, we are actually an innovation space at One North, and we incubate and actually house a lot of ARVR companies, AI companies, and even IoT companies. And the idea here is to really drive innovation in nascent tech areas like ARVR. So what we have at Pixel today is one, we try to help our local ARVR startup by providing them that space that they need to grow their company. And the second part is helping them to build great products through our consultancy services in UI, UX, design thinking, and even branding. And last but not least, we try to bring the community together, like what we do today with our webinars, but we also have a lot of ongoing workshops as well as technical workshops as well. So for those of you who are interested in what we do for UI, UX, and design thinking, I won't go into all the different areas, but a lot of what we do is to help companies define and ideate their AR/VR use cases. So I'll touch a little bit more on that later. So besides the AR/VR webinars that you see here today, our physical space actually host and conduct quite a few innovation-related events as well, like our pitching days, our demo days, and feel free to stay in touch with us so that you get the latest news on some of the workshops that we're having as well. And over the years, I think with AR/VR gaining more and more traction, we also have built a sizable community of AR/VR companies. So do come and speak to us if you have certain project ideas in mind and you're looking for someone who's able to, bring that to life for you. And maybe the last part that I'll just like to touch on is our sister department, the Open Innovation Platform, also manages a crowdsourcing platform where you can throw in some of your problem statements or your challenges that you face, and we'll help to match you with the 11,000 and actually no, today close to 12,000 solution providers that we have. So in a nutshell, we work with a lot of MNCs as well as SMEs to think about their problems or their challenges, and then throwing it out there to the innovative technology companies that we have so that we can come together and create an innovative tech product. So I'll just end off today's presentation by sharing a little bit more about our support for AR/VR projects, since we're on the topic of AR/VR today. So do come and speak to us if you want to, first of all, identify a project that you want to work on. We do a lot of one-on-one ideation workshops with companies. The second part is if you want to meet cool companies like Bandwagon Labs, Vostok, do come and ping us as well. And last but not least, if you're already ready to go ahead, start on a project with a company that you want to work with, Pixel's labs, such as our AR/VR labs and 5G labs, these are always open for industry to tap on as well. And I think that's all I have. So I'll give the time back over to Ting Hong.
Hey, thanks, Janice. Thank you very much. And of course, we're just, offering this to each and every one of us who are here to come and visit at Pixel, because you will be really, really amazed by the facilities and infrastructure that they have in place. And of course, if you're looking at rolling out certain projects, as Janice mentioned, please feel free to contact us at IMDA Pixel. Thank you so much. And if you do not mind doing us this small favor, we would like your feedback for today's session. You can actually just scan with your mobile phone this QR code, which will lead you to a feedback form. And we really like your honest feedback for today's session. And today, This webinar is Metaverse in Retail, Future of Customer Engagement. We have nothing but gratitude for our 3 outstanding speakers right here. Once again, we have Clarence from Bandwagon, and of course, Clarence, wishing you a blissful marriage. Yes, both in real life and in Metaverse.
Thanks, Singhong.
Happily ever after, man. All right. And of course, we have the head of field engineering at Unity, Ife, who spoke about enhancing e-commerce experiences. And last but not least, of course, the first one to speak earlier was Vitaly from Vostok VR. We do hope that all these use cases and stories, as well as sharing, has enabled you to get a different understanding of Metaverse as well as ARVR. And once again, we invite you to connect with IMDA Pixel as well as the speakers to gain more in your personal time in the one-to-one sharing together. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our IMDA webinar of today, Metaverse in Retail, Future of Customer Engagement. Do stay tuned to us and of course, search up IMDA Pixel, be in our mailing list. And of course, we look forward to having you in many other great events. Thank you so much and see you. Have a great week.